So Logan Paul was accused of scamming his viewers by the popular YouTuber Coffeezilla. In this video, we'll be looking at his response video and analysing the interesting body language he gives off to try and determine if he's being truthful. Now, disclosure, body language isn't an exact science, it doesn't claim to be, and it shouldn't be solely used to determine guilt. However, non-verbal analysis is used by organisations across the world to help catch criminals. It can also be used as evidence in court. So with that out of the way, let's take a look.
Coffeezilla. I watched her three-part series called Investigating Logan Paul's Biggest Scam, and like many on this platform, you have successfully used my name for views and money. While your work used to be impartial, your addiction to clicks has clouded your judgment and you've made very real errors with very real repercussions. Coffee, you took a shot at my reputation, so in this video today, I'm going to be defending myself with facts, something that you have gotten in the habit of twisting as you continue to morph from an investigator to a gossip channel. You see, Coffeezilla tried to work with law enforcement in the past, but his work was described as not anchored to truth and often speculative. He is a lopsided journalist with an agenda, and he's nothing more than the Keemstar of crypto and finance. But as opposed to just telling you, I'm going to show you some of the core discrepancies that I caught in Coffeezilla's investigation. Coffee, you interviewed the developer who stole the game code, fled to Switzerland, and held it hostage for $1 million. Well, his name is Zach Kelling. Surely, as the internet detective that you proclaim to be, you would know that he spent time in prison for multiple felonies, one for aggravated robbery, armed robbery at a liquor store, and the other for, surprise, obstructing the legal process. I can see why you kept him anonymous.
Who will be calling Z here.
I guess among many things, it doesn't surprise me that he lied about having 30 engineers and a $50,000 a week burn rate.
On my end, I have 30 engineers. I'm burning $50,000 a week.
Which, side note, is how this delusionist landed on the $1 million code ransom, but it turns out he only had 3 engineers. Wouldn't someone with journalistic integrity know their credible source had not only an agenda, but a fondness for orange jumpsuits? Or did you just hear what you wanted to hear and moved on? Because even if you're lying to yourself, Steven, you still have to believe it.
So he makes a great effort not to address the allegations made against him, instead attempting to attack the reputation of Coffeezilla and the people he used in the original video to discredit Paul. Discrediting your opponent's authenticity and credibility is a great tactic and is used all the time as a way to defend yourself against scrutiny. To be honest, I don't blame him, as Coffeezilla seems to pride themselves on being authentic, thorough and truthful. As for his body language, he's completely confident. He's making above average levels of eye contact for someone speaking and doesn't do any distancing and appears incredibly keen to defend himself. He does have an elevated blink rate. Now, humans typically blink between 12 and 15 times a minute, whereas he does around 35 blinks per minute. This elevated blink rate indicates a high level of stress, and also the above average level of eye contact indicates he's super keen to address and convince people of his innocence. He's clearly angered by his reputation being scrutinized.
And I know what you're thinking. What type of idiot would work with an unsavory individual like Zach Kelling? I guess that's what I get for trusting the team that I relied on to vet and manage Eddie's hiring process, who has turned out to be a professional con man that I have since learned fooled billionaires, the Mormon Church, the owner of the New York Yankees, and now me. And surely you knew Emilio, the gentleman who supposedly let his child invest in a cryptocurrency, was allegedly responsible for 2 rug pulls before you interviewed him. So either you missed that or you knew it and failed to let the public know. Why? Because it was a clear sign that he was also untrustworthy. You seemed pretty excited when the guy told you that he couldn't hatch the eggs.
Wait, you can't even hatch?
No, I'm telling you, it's just a picture.
You're kidding! You can't hatch?
You're kidding. You can't hatch?
You can't hatch?
Yeah, 1 second of research would prove that to be false, as you can definitely hatch eggs and even breed your animals.
Click on that. Oh, we got a duck.
And as you pointed out in your fine print, cross-hatching was available on ETH at one point, but you perpetuated the opposite as truth with your chest out.
Basically, nothing worked.
And by the way, guy, almost all NFTs are just pictures.
I'm telling you, it's just a picture.
And surely a real internet detective would not break criminal and civil laws in trying to get information, right? So why have you allowed the illegal recording of Jeff's phone call without his permission? And then, more like an internet criminal, post it online.
And it was interesting. It was like This is wild.
Now, although you didn't verify any backgrounds, substantiate any evidence, took multiple criminals' words as truth, and broke laws, you still published the defamation.
He's right here. It's a crime to leak privately recorded conversations to the public. And this is definitely going to be a tricky legal battle for Coffeezilla to combat. This is a grey area, as he could argue that Logan Paul is a public figure and thus the recordings are in the public interest, but I think that only this applies if Logan was the one being recorded, not his manager. Again, his body language remains much the same as before. High blink rate, strong eye contact, and a lot of confident gesturing with his hands. Logan really does have a great control over his body language. I would expect to see some form of pacifying behaviors here, like scratching and fidgeting, but he does keep it very controlled, so we don't really see much of this. I suppose there are a lot of cuts here and it is very fast paced, so it's probably hard to spot.
However, unlike you, the blockchain doesn't lie. So let's highlight some things that you did point out. Crypto King Jake stole $6 million. True or not, we had already removed him from the team when we realized he was a bad actor and his motives were purely financial. Conman Eddie, lead developer, stole $1.7 million. True or not, when we learned he was a bad actor as well, he was immediately removed from the team. While myself and Jeff sold nothing and made nothing as verified through investigation and the blockchain.
Jeff, Logan's manager, to my knowledge, never sold. Neither did Logan Paul.
I repeat, Jeff and I made no money and will never make any money on CryptoZoo. In fact, we only lost money trying to pick up the pieces. As has been the case with dozens of crypto and NFT projects, the space is unfortunately ripe for bad actors to infiltrate projects that start with even the best intentions. Jake the Snake is no longer affiliated with CryptoZoo, and we hope the money he reappropriated was worth ruining his reputation. Conman Eddie is being investigated by a higher authority that I cannot speak on. As you can imagine, I was not cleared from legal to discuss much of this, including the legal process being undertaken and the criminal investigations going on during the fallout, but I do appreciate you calling out that rats under my nose stole the game code, millions of dollars, and left Jeff and I abandoned with no team and knives in our back. But even after 12 months of work, you've still managed to overlook one crucial piece of information. See, even though I've said it's coming so many times, you've assumed that CryptoZoo isn't being made. Who are you to decide when the development timeline ends?
So he's doing a lot of rapid head movements here, which is like the elevated blink rate, a sign of high levels of stress. His tone of voice really doesn't change here, and I get the sense that he's restraining himself to appear calm and collected. But this rapid head movement is that stress just slightly leaking out. When our brain gets stressed, it releases a bunch of chemicals into the bloodstream. Adrenaline is released, which causes our heart rates to become elevated, and also our muscles begin to tense up. As a result, our limbic system tries to get us to pacify the effects of this stress by causing us to scratch, fidget, and distract ourselves from the stressor. The rapid head movements is him trying to release some of that stress by pacifying.
I got everything stolen from me in our community, stopped promoting publicly as soon as I knew the extent of the internal issues, took all of the heat on social, and you still published a defamatory hit piece fully knowing I was innocent just so you could enrich yourself in your $10 million studio. Sharp, but deeply unethical, dangerously misleading, and illegal. I suggest you use the money you got from pumping your Patreon to hire a good lawyer. You're gonna need it. And maybe we could have talked about this if you had reached out to me, personally. Not my manager, Jeff, who is not me, Steven, but the first time you did was on Christmas Eve after you released your series so you could rely on false statements and unreliable people used recklessly. The subject line was third request for comment. Yeah, not quite. This will be my third time reaching out to you and your team. The first 2 times were through your manager, Jeff. The first 2 times were through your manager, Jeff. Okay, so the last time on Christmas Eve, after the fact, was to me. You have a funny way of twisting things. And I also noticed you left out that part on Twitter. Why hide that? Trust me, CryptoZoo is coming. I will make damn sure of it. And honestly, it sucks that after years of personal reform, going through trials and tribulations and busting my ass to evolve into a person that I can say I'm actually proud of, you led the charge to drive and monetize a narrative telling millions of people that I'm a fraud or I tried to scam my audience. That is patently false. This video is mainly for my fans and anyone who's on the fence that I hope I can help understand a situation that is tremendously complex but has been oversimplified for both views and clicks. And lastly, Coffeezilla. I now know your motives with this. Clout and money, good for you, but also you're slimy as So I'm not going to come on any of your podcasts. If you want to come on Impulsive and talk about this, that's fine. You've denied my invitation multiple times. You're still invited. It can be a one-on-one. If not, we're going to handle this ourselves while we continue to build CryptoZoo, and I'll see you in court.
So despite his drama in the past, Logan is right here. He makes an impressive defense, and from his body language we can see that he genuinely feels stressed by the false accusations made about him. He does his best to control his emotions and stays impressively calm throughout the video despite experiencing the stress response. This is definitely one of the best YouTuber apology / response videos I've seen. He doesn't directly state that he didn't scam anyone, so reading his subtle nonverbal cues and micro expressions to see if he's lying isn't really on the table here. Regardless, the evidence seems overwhelmingly in his favor. So thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.